Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salailo Makwidiri, and we'll be having a really, really interesting conversation in a bit. And I think this is going to be one that's going to be really interesting. Yesterday, Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Dean McPherson, announced that cyber criminals have looted almost 300 million from the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure in a period spanning 10 years. This was revealed yesterday by Dean McPherson, the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, in a media statement. The department is responsible for public infrastructure as well as providing accommodation and property management services to all other ministries of the South African government. The minister was recently appointed into the role when the Government of National Unity was announced on 30 June, said according to McPherson, the department decided to take the public into confidence in the interest of transparency to reveal a staggering cybercrime related matter that has been unearthed by the department, resulting in an amount of at least 300 million being stolen in the past 10 years. And we'll be speaking to the head of communication from the Department of Public Works, Lennox Mabaso, who's joining us via StreamYard. Welcome, Mr. Mabaso. Thank you so much for joining us today. The recent news about the theft of 300 million from the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure has shocked many. I think if you could start by giving us an overview of what has transpired and how it was transpired, and also the investigation that ultimately got to the bottom of this, I think, very, very amazing, disturbing figure.
Well, yeah, as you correctly pointed out, the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Minister Dean McPherson, has decided to take the nation into confidence.
All right, we seem to have lost Lennox, but while we try to get him back, I think this is something very, very staggering. I mean, 300 million in what 10 years. I think very, very, very staggering. And I think one thing that's very, encouraging, at least, is the fact that this has prompted a full forensic investigation by the Hawks, the South African Police Services, state security agencies, and experts. All right, we have Lennox back. Lennox, yes, as you were.
Apologies about that break in transmission. I was indicating, the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Minister Dean McPherson, has decided to take the nation into confidence about one of the staggering and shocking crime incidents that have happened within our institution. This, of course, with a view to also ensure that these types of crimes are prevented from happening in other government institutions, because it seems to be a crime wave that is hitting a number of institutions. Basically, what has happened is that in May this year, you will recall that the Deputy Minister now of Public Works, Sisezi Galala, in his capacity as a minister, then issued a statement about launching an investigation into the vulnerabilities of the system, where through a cybercrime took place, and an amount to the tune of 24 million went missing. He launched an investigation and invited the Hawks, and invited the State Security Agency, and also invited the SAPS and experts in the industry. What has since happened that as Minister Dean McPherson also arrived, and they were drilling into the details about these things, and they're going through some of the issues with various branches and systems and performance of the department. It has been discovered that the department has become a playing ground, a soft target for cyber criminals. On the deeper analysis which has happened now, it has been discovered that these cyber incidents have been taking place for a period that is about over 10 years. It is against this backdrop that the minister said, no, we need to take the public into confidence and be transparent and be open about this type of crime, but also introduce interventions that seeks to stem the tide and stop these criminals, because they are siphoning a lot of money that should be used for infrastructure development, for growing the economy and for creating jobs. But also we need to ensure that we stop this incident with immediate effect. But also we look at our systems as the department and government institutions in general and their vulnerabilities in terms of how can we come up with solutions to ensure that we are not victims of cyber criminals. It is a sophisticated type of crime driven largely by the technological era that we are living in, but it is causing a lot in terms of our development projections, because when money is stolen, it means development projects are delayed. So this is against this backdrop that the minister intensified the investigation and urged the law enforcement agencies to speed up the probe, and also to, as a precautionary measure, because to ensure that some of the people that normally work on the systems are also placed on precautionary suspension so that we allow the proper investigation by these state agencies to unfold unhindered.
I want to touch a bit on that, the fact that there was internal involvement in all of this. I think Minister McPherson himself.
I want to clarify that
Yes.
upfront. There is no fact that there is an internal involvement. The investigation is covering internal and external. It no evidence that seems to say there was somebody internally involved. What the minister has said in the statement is that the investigation that is currently going on will cover internal and external, and the suspensions that have taken place are precautionary to allow the investigations to continue unhindered. And the seizure of all laptops that normally get involved is to ensure that there is no stone that is left unturned in terms of the investigation. If the internal people can be cleared, and the external people can also be, the criminals can also be chased externally and be discovered. It's just to make sure that the investigation is comprehensive and it covers everything. So there's no apportioning of guilt on anyone in this regard. It's just precautionary suspensions to allow the investigations and to seize the equipment that are normally used internally and externally when such investigations take place.
Do we know if there's any, specific reason why a theft of this magnitude and of this scale, was not, noticed, or was, I don't know, sussed out by the previous administration? Minister McPherson himself is not even a month in his tenure as a Minister of Public Works, and already, he seems to be getting to the bottom of this. The previous administration itself, any reason why this went on for 10 years unabated in their, eyes, literally?
Well, what I can speak about, I myself in the department, I'm only a year old. Minister Zigalala is only a year old. Deputy Minister Zigalala, who was minister, is only a year old. He joined the department in May 2023. And the first incident he discovered was in May 2024. That is Deputy Minister Zigalala, who was the minister. And he launched the investigation. He's the one that ordered the investigation. And then now that we're in the seventh administration, that investigation, Deputy Minister Zigalala, who was minister, ordered it in May 2024, May this year, meaning just before the elections. Now, after the elections, the minister and the deputy minister are appointed for the seventh administration. As they go through these things in preparation for the priorities of the seventh administration, they discover that no, that was not the first incident. So hence now, when they dig deeper, it is discovered that this thing has been going on in this department for 10 years. So the former minister, who was only a year old, Minister Zigalala, immediately when he realized the incident, which he thought it was just happening at that time, he ordered the investigation. And then Minister Dean McPherson, as he comes in and he gets briefed about these things, and they dig deeper together, they realize that no, this has been happening, and it's not just the 24 million that Minister Zigalala was investigating. It goes bigger than that, and it's been going on for 10 years. So I will not be able to explain to you why this thing has happened for 10 years. I can only speak about the period of the leadership that is here, that when the first minister saw it, which is Minister Zigala, saw it in April this year, he ordered an investigation and issued a public statement. And when we realized that no, the problem is bigger and much more deeper, Minister Dean McPherson, as he arrives, he also take the nation into confidence to say, no. Actually, this thing is deeper than what initially was discovered. So we're going deeper and we want to root it out for good.
Mm, mm. How has this theft impacted the department's ongoing projects and just the overall operations? Were there any specific infrastructure projects or job creation initiatives that were affected that you can detail out for us?
Well, any loss of money from the state, because it's money for taxpayers' money, it goes for services. We're a Department of Infrastructure. Infrastructure thrives, is a flywheel of the economy. It drives growth, it drives jobs, it drives development of the country, it makes the country competitive. So it impacts on those projects. There are a number of infrastructure projects that probably could be implemented with that money. That's why all these agents that are involved have been asked to chase the money wherever it is. It is a sophisticated type of crime, cyber crime, because it also involves technology and attackers. For instance, the department was alerted to this crime by the South African Reserve Bank and Absa Bank, because the people were accessing systems and bank accounts, and the banks were able to notify us to say, well, we're noticing transactions that are unusual, and immediately the department had to react and shut down the system. So it's a sophisticated crime. While technology is good, but there are a lot of risks that it brings, and cybercrime are the phenomenons that are new. I'm sure you have seen also, even in the US, in many departments, institutions, there's been increased reports of incidents of cyber crimes. Now the question is, who are they working with? Other people? What is happening? How are they doing it? And the investigation, when it's completed by these agencies, it will reveal all that and give the full picture, which the minister, Dean McPherson, has committed that he will take the public into confidence about that once the
Mm.
outcome and the investigation is completed.
And I think that's a really, really appreciated step, putting the public's confidence and sharing, just the scale and the rot that has been happening at the Department of Public Works. That's one thing. Another thing now, and I think this is what all South
When
Africans,
the
yes.
is to expose the cyber criminal incident and how
Mm,
government departments are victims of this incident.
mm.
Then, because when you say it's the rot at the department, you are insinuating that it's people internally that are involved. There is no facts that has
But
been
but but but
established.
but we can't deny that for over 10 years this has been happening, and no one from the finance guy to your IT guys, and you did mention that the banks have been sending out notices themselves, and this has continued for 10 years. So I think it's obvious at this point. I think let's not run around, around the facts. It just can't happen in a department that in a span of 10 years you're losing 300 million and there's no internal involvement. I refuse to believe that. But another thing that I think we need to touch on
Well,
yes.
respond, because I think we need to be fair, because we shouldn't guard against this thing of making people, saying people are guilty until they prove themselves innocent. The reality is that there's an investigation that will establish these are new forms of crime, cyber crimes, sophisticated. I'm saying to you, the bank alerted the former minister, now deputy minister, in May this year. I cannot tell what has happened, because I personally am here for a year. Minister Zigara has only been here for a year. Minister McPherson has only been here for 2 weeks. So these things, but the leadership that is here is currently here. When it realized the incidents, it acted. The investigation will establish if there was a rot. There are people involved. We cannot be conclusive about that and cast people and paint people with a brush and say people at public works staff are guilty of this incident. We do not know. Let's allow the investigation to take its course, and then you will be taken into confidence. And I think we have an obligation to protect our employees, especially if there is no finding against them, until the investigation is concluded.
All right. Really appreciate being taken into confidence by this current administration. But another responsibility that they have is restoring trust. What measures are being taken to restore public trust in the Department of Public Works and infrastructure? And how will the department itself ensure transparency and accountability moving forward with the facts already established?
Well, as you quite correctly pointed out, the fact that the minister has taken the nation into confidence, and the fact that the deputy minister, when he realized the incident, also took the public into confidence, is a sign that they are committed to building public trust in public institutions, and to be accountable to the public and the people of South Africa. So that's is a good sign, and they have indicated that this will be the hallmark of the administration of the department. They will ensure that they are accountable, and they will ensure that they drive the ethos of good governance, accountability, performance, and service delivery.
Will there be any kind of collaboration with other entities? Because I think it is quite clear that the department is under resourced when it comes to dealing with issues of cybersecurity. Will there be, collaborating with private agencies, government agencies, the private sector to try and enhance cybersecurity and to prevent similar incidences in the future?
Part of the reason why you've got the State Security Agency, SITA, State Information Technology Agency, Hawks, and SAPS, and all these law enforcement agencies involved, is also to trace the money, to track the criminals, their modus operandi, in order to also assist with interventions to prevent this from happening. And that all that will be encapsulated in the report once it is completed. But also, you will probably have been reading that the Department of Public Works as minister has come forward, but various other state institutions, I have been reading since last week, a couple of them have also been attacked by the cyber crimes. Private sector, even in the US, has been attacked by cyber criminals, the White House. So these are the new waves of crime that are happening through technology, the technology that we want us to assist us in terms of improving service delivery and making the country efficient and competitive. But it also has a downside to it, in that there is a criminal element and the criminal syndicate and scammers that are using technology to attack government systems and also to steal from the taxpayers.
All right. I think we're going to leave it there, Lennox. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Really, really appreciate it. And I'm sure as, investigations continue to unfold, we'll be getting in contact with you just to hear the latest.
Thank you very much. And thank you for the listeners.
All right. Really, really concerning stuff, eh? In space of 10 years? I think, since 10 years from now would be 2014? 2014. So who was the Minister of Public Works in 2014? Let me see. Let me think. Okay, between 2010 and 2011 and 2017, the minister was Thulas Nxesi. This was under government of President Jacob Zuma. And then after him, you had Nathi Nhleko. This is also under the administration of former President Jacob Zuma. This was 2017. And then you had Thulas Nxesi coming back again, 2018, and then Patricia de Lille, 2019, and then Sihle Zikalala, 2023, and then Dean McPherson, 2024. So all those ministers, whole of 10 years, from Gwen Mahlangu Nkabinde in 2010. I think let's start there. Thulas Nxesi, Nathi Nhleko, Thulas Nxesi coming back again, Patricia de Lille, and then the latest ones obviously being Sihle Zikalala and Dean McPherson. So you're telling me from Patricia de Lille right till Gwen Mahlangu Nkabinde, those ministers themselves, telling me none of them will be implicated in this? The department is losing 300 million in a space of 10 years, and you have all of these people leading the department, and none of them are saying anything about it. None of them are noticing it. None of them, eh? And then you want to come on air and tell us, well, let's wait for investigations and, let's not cast aspersions and call people, hey, it's not robots that work at the Department of Public Works. It's people. So there is a rot at the Department of Public Works. You can't defend it. I'm sure there's someone that has been working at the Department of Public Works and their finances in that period. They've been working there. They've been seeing the books of the department. They've been seeing amounts of money coming out. Banks have been notifying the department, but nothing was done about it because there's a rot. There's corrupt people in the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure. It's not hackers somewhere in smoky little dark rooms that are just stealing money. There's involvement of people in there, and they should be punished, all of them. 300 million. Public Works, Public Works makes sure that the country is running. Makes sure that bridges are built. Make sure that roads are built. Make sure that government buildings are built. That serve you and I. And for 10 years is bleeding money, 300 million. Imagine all infrastructure projects that could have come out of that 300 million. Imagine the schools that could have been built. Imagine the clinics that could have been built. Imagine the police stations. Imagine the SNDF could have been funded. Imagine our borders could have been secured. That's the job of public works. And if it's bleeding 300 million in 10 years and no one is saying anything about it, and you want us to say, well, I'm innocent until proven guilty, hell no. Hell no. The department is corrupt, and the people that have worked there in that period of 10 years should all account. I'm going to take a quick break. We'll see you after this.